Okay, so summary for Clank. Clank is a really brilliant little game. It's not at all what I was expecting when I first acquired it, but it's definitely won me over with its own unique charm. As I mentioned in the intro, it's really not a dungeon crawl. It's really not. Fighting is, very abstracted, either spending swords to defeat or just crossing little marks on the board.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't feel like fighting. It doesn't feel like dungeon crawling. You don't equip, you don't level up, you don't, any of the usual dungeon crawl accoutrements.
You don't crawl while I crawl.
It's a race, except in this race, you're choosing your own course, short or long, and, going from there. Whether you want the short, quick course that's going to be worth less, or the long, complicated course that will be worth a lot more, but could very well prove fatal for a variety of reasons.
Anything can prove fatal in this game.
Yeah, true enough, but much more likely to be fatal.
Yeah.
Clank has definitely been a hit with all the groups I've played it with. It's won over people that, don't even normally care terribly much for games. It's very accessible. I mean, the rules can be taught in 5 minutes. I mean, how long was the intro? Because that was pretty much an entire rules explanation. And some other jib-jab in there. Especially if someone's played a deck builder before, you don't even have to explain any of that, just how they're moving around.
To translate the symbols.
And the spaces, and so on and so forth. And the way Clank works, which is really interesting.
That's a really cute dynamic.
Versus reward thing, where you keep dumping cubes in the bag and somehow they keep not coming out of the bag. And they're gonna come out of the bag and probably at the worst possible time, but, you're looking okay right now, so let's push it.
Right? Like as you're about to exit.
Really terrific. Now, absolutely love the aesthetic to this game. I mean, it looks wonderful.
And the art definitely.
It's bright where it should be bright. It's dark where it should be dark. I mean, it all really works. Somebody obviously put a lot of effort into the art and the graphic design for this. And the box just looks terrific. Just beautiful. I mean, it's all very pleasant to look at. The components are pretty standard. I mean, nothing, too crazy, though the bag is awesome and the little figures are awesome. They're, they have different weapons, A little cutlass and a dagger and stuff. I mean, it's really nifty, the extra little touches there. I mean, the tokens, they're all pretty standard tokens. Nothing to write home about one way or another. The cards, wide variety of different cards. I don't think they're unique, but there's only, 1 or 2 copies of each in there. And they all have their own little pieces of art to them. They all look good. And there's some really interesting strategies they can develop based on what comes out.
Yep.
Now, since the board doesn't change, you might be worried that it starts to feel repetitive, samey after a while. But the cards that come out are really going to guide, not necessarily dictate, but guide your strategy in some important and interesting ways. There's a card, for example, that will give you 6 extra points, I think, or 3. It's a bunch of extra points for each secret tome you have. And another card that makes it super easy to acquire these tomes. So you can end up bogging down your deck with a massive pile of tomes that, if you can stumble out the door, are worth up to bazillion points. And that could be your strategy one game. Or in another game, you end up with a bunch of high-powered boots early on and figure you're just going to grab and go, and screw everybody else. Because it is really fun timering them along,
Yeah.
That is really terrific. It's really a lot of fun.
And the board is two-sided if you want a simpler...
The other side, though, is the intro.
The simple intro
one. Now, there's already an expansion out that has a new board and I think some new cards and stuff, and that's really all you would want out of an expansion for Clank. It doesn't need new rules or new variants or options or modes, just some more boards and, think of it like a Formula D type game if you're familiar with it. more boards and more cards. I mean, what else could you really need?
Right. Well, the secrets, there's more secrets than there are spaces. At least.
So you'll see a different mix of those, and yeah, lots of interesting variety going on there that can really change up the game for you. That early dragon egg, for example, definitely imperiled us. But yeah, no, now of course, there are certain issues to it. What with the luck of the draw and all, it is possible for a player to just get royally hosed and just never draw what they need.
Right, we had one game where one person sat in like a cave with no boots for several turns.
Yeah, the game can do some pretty awful stuff to you, but in my experience, it's rare.
Or it hands you the golden route out of the cave.
Well, yes, that's implied, I would say, but so there is that luck factor to it for sure, but there's lots of mitigation that's possible, and sometimes luck just goes against you. It's the way things go. The dragon bag's another example of how luck can definitely punch you in the face in this game. So if you're one of those purist Euro types that doesn't like any luck, this is not the direction to go. Most certainly not. But if you enjoy a little bit of crazy, a little bit of calamity, then you could do a lot worse than Clank, who just really well designed, really interesting product. And she's like $45 or something at the moment, I think. Keep in mind the date this was made before you grief me about, oh, it's out of print and $1,000. Okay, this is a video. It doesn't change based on the date. So, anyway, all that aside, I think we've just about covered it there. So, until next time, get off your computer and go play some more games.